Jesus didn't always have a sermon prepared. I promise I'm prepared for this, but I got a point here. Jesus didn't always have a sermon prepared. Very often in the Gospels, we see situations where he uses the thing that just happened as a springboard, and then he teaches using that. So we saw that last week with the rich young man who ran up to Jesus and asked what he must do to inherit eternal life. Jesus challenges him to sell all that he has and come follow him. And the man goes away sad. So Jesus uses that as an opportunity to then preach about the struggle that we who have wealth or comfort in this life, we're going to have in following the Lord. He does a similar thing in the gospel today. Wasn't preparing a sermon for this, but it came up because James and John decide they've got ambitions. They want to sit in powerful positions next to Jesus in his glory. They also want to have glory. And Jesus uses this as an opportunity to preach about what real leadership is supposed to look like. He says, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant. Whoever wishes to be the first among you will be the slave of all. Kind of interesting as we think about electing new servants here soon in our country, to have Jesus' teaching on what real leaders should look like. And in a similar vein, I suppose, the Archbishop has asked every priest in the Archdiocese to preach on the same thing this weekend. Using our context right now, just being a few weeks away from elections, all of us who've gotten ballots coming in the mail probably already have them on our desks. We're thinking about it. We're thinking about what we're going to have to do here. The Archbishop is asking us to use the situation in front of us of election around the corner to speak on a couple of key things. The first thing is a reminder that we all have an obligation as Catholics to participate as citizens to the fullest extent we have the ability to do so. Not every person in the world has the ability to vote. We're kind of blessed with that in the United States. We have the option of being able to vote on leaders and vote on legislation. Many people in our world don't have that luxury. But we're called to exercise that ability. If we've encountered the Lord and he's transforming our lives and he's shaping who we are, we're supposed to bring that with us to the ballot. We're supposed to bring our faith with us. And the church teaches authoritatively on faith and morals. That's the important part when it comes to the ballot. The church teaches authoritatively on moral issues, which means that when the church teaches on a moral issue, it's teaching not in its own opinion, it's teaching in God's name. It's doing so with God's authority, which means that even if I personally disagree with something that the church teaches, the church trumps me because the church is teaching with God's authority. And I'm called to then to conform myself to that because the church teaches in Jesus' voice. So that's really the first encouragement the Archbishop had for us, is to remember that we have an obligation ahead of us here. Voting might be the best. It's certainly the easiest way to participate in our political system and to actually have some influence on the common good. The other issue the Archbishop has asked us all to preach about is a particular amendment that we're voting on in Colorado. Again, this is about a moral issue. We're not talking about candidates or parties. We're talking about a moral issue the church has been teaching on authoritatively since the beginning. There's a document that talks about abortion, it mentions abortion. It's called the Teaching of the 12 Apostles, the Didache, dated to like the year 100, 112, somewhere in there. Even in there, the early church is already talking about the evil of abortion. But Amendment 79 is not really about voting on abortion. The law of the land of Colorado is not going to change on abortion with this particular amendment. We are one of 7 states that allows abortion up to the day of birth. Only 7 states that allow it. And third trimester abortions do happen in Colorado. They happen in Boulder in particular, at a particular clinic that I've prayed outside of several times. But that's not what's at issue as we look at that particular issue. Amendment 79 is looking at the issue of abortion and trying to make it a constitutional right. And in doing so, would make it harder for us to be able to vote on this in the future. It would kind of almost take it out of the opportunity for us to vote on abortion going forward. But more concerning are 2 aspects of it. First of all, there is currently a law not allowing taxpayer money to go towards abortions in the state of Colorado. So Amendment 79 repeals that, making it completely possible for taxpayer money to go towards abortions. The other thing that's concerning about it is it would take away the obligation for parents to be notified of, or to be a part of that decision-making process with a minor wanting an abortion. That's a concern. We don't even allow minors to get a tattoo without mom and dad's permission in the state of Colorado. But this law, Amendment 79, wants to allow a child to have an abortion without mom and dad knowing about it. That's not good stewardship. That's not good caring for the child in what will be a very big decision in this person's life. And so Archbishop is urging us as Catholics to exercise our consciences in this situation, to do what we know to be good for the common good. This is not going to get rid of abortion. We're still going to have abortion up to the day of birth in the state of Colorado. That's not changing. But it will change the way we do it. So he's urging us to vote no, so that taxpayer money doesn't go towards abortions, and so that parents are still a part of that decision-making process when a young person is going through that difficulty. I know this isn't the homily you wanted to hear. It's not the homily I wanted to preach. But I can't in good conscience only preach on the things I want to preach about. And hopefully you in good conscience aren't coming to church only because you get to hear the message that you want to hear about. If you just want to hear happy things, you could just go watch, I don't know, Great British Bake Off or something like that. Like, yeah, they'll give you the warm fuzzies every time. I love that show. But to be a Christian means that we allow the Lord to challenge us. We allow the teachings of the church to challenge us. And that means at times we're going to have to hear a message that we may not care for, that maybe rubs us the wrong way. But if we're sincere in wanting conversion, if we're sincere in wanting eternal life, then we have to allow the Lord to push us and to challenge us. Jesus is asking us to conform ourselves, not to the world, not to a political party or even individuals that we like. He's asking us to conform ourselves to him alone and to his will.